Hail, Internet! It's Paul, it's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here today talking about the final two episodes, 5 and 6, of the fourth and final season of the Umbrella Academy. The episode's entitled 6 Years, 5 Months, and 2 Days, and End of the Beginning. We open episode 5 with a montage, episode 5, and we have 5. A montage of 5 and Lila trapped on the alternate timeline subway for essentially 6 years, hence the title of the episode. During that time, they begin to have feelings for each other. We end the series with the Umbrella Academy, minus Ben, but plus Lila, deciding to sacrifice themselves to save the world. 5 learned that they are the cause of all the apocalypses they've averted in all these timelines. The only way to avoid an apocalypse is to embrace the cleanse, be removed from existence entirely, hence they were never born. Hence there's theoretically no Marigold left to fracture the timeline, but we can talk about whether that's true. We then see an idyllic original timeline with everyone playing in the park. And there's a bunch of Easter eggs. I caught a few of them. I saw the handler from the commission.
Good. Yeah, I was like, it looks like I should recognize people.
Yeah, I saw the Swedes. They were some of my favorite assassins. I think from season 2. They were just like playing in the park, you know. So they're all happy now, essentially, that the timeline is fixed. And then we get a shot of 8 marigold flowers. And they look like they're putting out some pollen. Does that mean the sacrifice was in vain? The show creator was actually asked that question, and I'll read his response in a second.
Oh, all right.
But all that said, Paul.
Yes?
What'd you think of the final 2 episodes of the Umbrella Academy?
Oh, you want my opinion before I hear the answer?
Oh, do you want to know the answer? I can give you the answer first. I just thought I'd let you talk. You want me to? I'll read. Okay. Hold. It may impact your decision. Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. So the series creator, Steve Blackman, was asked about the ending. Here's the quote. So the question is, in the post-credit scene, we see 8 marigold flowers spring up. Can we assume it's we can assume it's the Brellies, right? A la our heroes. And his response, not necessarily. You can assume many things from that. We can assume that some essence of marigold still exists somewhere in the world. It may do nothing ever again. And it could just be flowers. Or it could be what's left of them because there happens to be 8 flowers. And a couple of them kind of turn into each other, which I don't understand what that means, but so be it. Okay, but I'm leaving it to the audience to decide what it really means. Does that mean there could be more of the Umbrella Academy? Or is it just that a tiny bit of their essence does go on? So hence, he left it deliberately ambiguous. The end? Question mark? All right, so there you go. From the horse's mouth.
Yeah, see, I'm glad I heard that, because now it makes me respect them much less.
Okay.
No, I don't care. So I thought it was fine. You know, I guess I give it a 7. I don't know if I've rated any of the other episodes. But
that high. I would not go that high, but okay. Good.
Yeah, I give it a 7 basically because A, it finished, and B, it's like, I feel like it's a logical end. You know, from the very beginning, they've had all these issues or whatever, and they've felt this great burden to sort of solve everything. Yep. And so once they found out that they were the cause of all of it, it just makes sense for them to decide to take themselves out of it.
Yep.
And I was satisfied that they all did that. I have quibbles about the episodes, but you know, that's a fine end, I feel. So that's why I give it a 7. I guess the previous episode, maybe a 6.5.
Okay, so you actually liked this better than 3 and 4. In other words, okay. So you felt like the low point was 3 and 4. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
For me, the high point of the season would have been 1 and 2. I felt 3 and 4 was not as good, and then here I feel like this was actually even worse. I feel like I thought the plot really unraveled here at the end, but I do agree with you on one point. So I have seen a lot of folks online that are upset with the ending. And I do agree that it's poorly done. But one of the main criticisms I've seen is that it's kind of like it was all a dream style ending. But
they're wrong.
They're wrong, exactly. I do disagree with that. I mean, the events of all 4 seasons led to them making this noble choice to sacrifice themselves for the good of humanity.
Yeah.
So that's consequences and stakes.
Yeah.
So the rest of the series still has meaning. I guess that's what the point. People are like, oh, but that means none of it happened. No, it happened. It led to this choice. So I think that's a perfectly good outcome for a story about heroes. Yep, no, I get it. So that's not my issue with the ending. My issue is that it leaves too much unresolved, and it does feel a little like a first draft of a storyline. Like they didn't think a lot of it through.
What do you think was unresolved?
Well, one of the questions I had asked last recap was, "Hey, what's the deal with Jennifer?" And they did not answer any of the Jennifer questions. In fact, it just felt like she was a very convenient plot point, but like we didn't know anything about her past, and then she just gets written out of existence, I think, at the end of this. So it was like convenient plot device, and it's gone. We don't explain it.
Right. Yeah. Well. Yeah. I guess we can assume that. Oh, she has that anti-force that
right. She has the Durango in her, but how did it get there? Why was she there? Why was she in a squid?
It's funny, actually. At the end of our last recap, I thought those were valid questions, and even now, I don't care about those questions.
Okay.
So you care about them, and that's fine.
I do.
It's like that's just I would look at it as just another aspect of a correction that is occurring, that they've been fighting against the whole time, which is, how do we undo that? I mean, the part that I was reminded of as I was sort of skimming the episode, it worked far better than I remembered, which is Hargreaves, once he sits down on the bench, Parks and Rec guy sits right next to him, and and takes off his mask and reveals that it's been that a woman Abigail.
It was
all along.
Abigail all along.
Yeah, exactly. Considering that Hargreaves, what I was saying about him was that he was kind of, at least I thought throughout the season, he was kind of toothless, and that he wasn't as bastardly as he had been in the previous timelines. He was like, I'll do whatever you say, even though my instinct is to do something else. It's like, oh, you want to do this? Okay, fine. However, if you boiled him down to basically his desire to try to hold on to, Abigail,
right,
and willing to sacrifice things in order to make that happen. The fact that in the end it was like, no, this is, you tried to have this false thing happen, and then it just had to be destroyed in the end. I was like, okay, that for me is a stronger sort of arc than,
Yeah, no, I agree that arc in terms of like, hey, for the love of my true love who was dying, I did this act, and it ended up fracturing this timeline and causing these apocalypses. And, I'm trying to rectify that, and I can't. And then, so it's up to the woman he saved to then come in and say, you know what, I feel so guilty about being the cause of all this fracturing, I'm going to end it.
So I wasn't really bothered by the fact that relatively early, Jennifer and Ben, really became a plot device, and
Ben becoming a plot device was also, I thought, unfortunate. I mean, that's a character who's been around, obviously.
I guess, but I feel like, unfortunately for Ben, I just don't know that he's ever been.
Well, he was absent for a while, that's true. But.
Yeah, he was absent, and when he came back, he was just sort of, he wasn't like he was here where he was like a complete dick. He was just sort of, was like, playing the straight man, the Klaus, was being all crazy because he saw, Ben, and then, once he was around, he was still, Klaus being Klaus, so... I would, fortunately, I think Ben's got a raw deal throughout the whole series.
Yeah, and maybe particularly raw here, in that it seems like everything is out of his control, or at least it seems explained by the fact that, oh, well, the Durango and Jennifer, so that's why you were a dick, that's why you did all these things.
Yeah, it might have been better for him to have the, epiphany about the point of it all. Then I like Five. He's cool and everything, but
he is cool.
Maybe he didn't need to have the final epiphany.
Okay, because you're right. We'll talk about that in a second. But because one of the things with Ben that it seemed like they might be leading to a moment where he takes back kind of control. Victor is trying to convince Reginald not to simply swoop in and kill Ben.
Right.
Victor thinks that Ben can be saved.
Right.
But it turns out he can't.
No. Yeah.
And so Reginald ends up shooting Ben anyway, and that doesn't actually kill Ben, and so he unites with Jennifer anyway.
Well, it pretty much kills him.
Well, does it? Okay.
Well, I guess there was a point where he was kind of communicating with them after he got shot, right? Because you could see his.
Victor said something like, "Oh, he pushed me away," or something like, "Oh."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, even though
on his way to destroy the world, he moved me to the side. Okay.
Yeah, so that ultimately they could give their consent to have that happen. So.
Yeah. Right, because I felt like. And in some ways, in these two episodes, especially 5 and 6, you had this Victor versus Reginald. It felt like a fairly major focal point of these two episodes where, hey, Reginald is like, look, to save the world, we got to go kill Ben. And Victor's like, you always want to kill everything, and you're wrong a lot of the times. And please, maybe a little empathy could go a long way. And so it seems like that was an interesting duality between them. But I think the outcome would have been the same no matter who won out. I don't know that the outcome of Ben and Jennifer became this terrible thing.
That's the tragedy of, Abigail saying that she had been plotting that all along.
Yeah.
Which is interesting, actually, because, then it's like, okay, we don't need to know anything about David Cross's character because it was really Abigail.
Right.
And...
that was a thing too. Okay, well, go ahead. Sorry, don't interrupt.
I was going to say also, Jean and Jean, if neither of them had been killed, their current form would have been, completely supplanted by this cleanse anyway.
Yep.
So, ultimately, if
they wouldn't have felt out of time. They would have felt so they wouldn't have started the Keepers. They would their whole lives would be completely different.
Right. Yeah. Like I think they talked about how their academic issues, I guess, were at the root of their. So yeah, they could have shoved them happily in their college classrooms or something in the final.
I do like that Gene with a G basically wants to get rid of David Cross because I got the feeling he was jealous.
Yeah.
He thought that Gene with a J was starting to. Flirt with the... But something that I thought didn't really gel with me is... Abigail, right, the big twist. Hey, look, I was Grossman. She disguised herself as Cy Grossman. She kidnapped Victor. She led the team to the Jar of Marigold. She led them to Jennifer in New Grumpson. Then she notified the Keepers about the coming cleanse so they could thwart the Umbrella Academy's attempts to save Ben. And then, of course, we get this last thing where she's like, it felt like she was like sadly resigned to this fate of like, look, I carry this weight of all this happened because, Reginald tried to save me. And so I'm trying to do my part to like fix this.
Yeah.
But then
you want her to be happy about that?
Well, I thought she seemed too happy. And when she's like viciously murdering Gene and Jean, she seems to be taking a lot of pleasure. Like she seems like really into it, as opposed to like, oh God, I have to do this. I'm so sorry. It's like disemboweling Gene. And like putting his face on it. It's just like it was pretty gross, and it was pretty. It just felt like she was reveling in it, and I didn't get that from her character at the end. Like that version of the character seemed a little more chaotic evil as opposed to lawful evil, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, but it's different actors playing different parts. So I don't know. Anyway.
Oh yeah, and I guess they could have done more to try to unify that performance. I guess.
Right. I think I would have appreciated that. Yeah.
I guess. Even now, sort of like, okay.
Now, some things I did like about these two episodes. I'm mentioning a lot of things. I'm like, I didn't like that. I didn't like that. I enjoyed the Five and Lila storyline. I believed that they formed a relationship while surviving for these 7 years. I believed Five's choice to hide the knowledge of how to get back. That he knows that getting back means, okay, we got to avert another apocalypse. I'm on this endless treadmill of narrowly avoiding disaster. And here we have this greenhouse, the strawberries, and I can escape. So he sees it as this escape. Is it something that can last? No. And if he really thinks it through, no. Yeah. But for now, this is awesome. And it's so much less stress. I'm going to stay here. Let's stay here. So I appreciated that. That storyline, so good on that. And I did like the diner run by Fives. It was a fun, creative choice.
Oh yes.
The flip side of Reg's King Reg, the King Reg Diner, right? The King Reg Diner is where the keepers hang out, and I forgot the name of their diner, but the Diner of Fives. Anyway, so that was a fun. So Five, I suppose, has involved in the most entertaining parts, in my opinion, of episodes 5 and 6.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, because Diego and Luther's adventure in the CIA or whatever.
Yeah, yep.
That was, you could have left that out.
Yeah, it's a set piece, and they had action. And they fought.
I guess it did sort of. I did buy, I guess, Diego's sort of. Seeing his dream of the CIA is not what he imagined it to be, so it allowed him to sort of commit to his family and their importance. So that was fine. I guess for Luther, didn't really do anything. But
I liked the little addition of that the Department of Washouts. Actually ended up helping Luther and Diego. These guys, screw this job. Whatever. All right. That's kind of fun. Yeah. What allegiance do we have to these guys?
And the Klaus mausoleum stuff, it was really them putting him in a box, which, at least he didn't go back to how he was before, so I didn't even trapped, he was still like his later Klaus and not his earlier Klaus. So even as he said, okay, I'm just going to do drugs now. Even then he wasn't nearly as self-centered as he was.
They didn't really play that potential out. It was kind of like, this could be a fate worse than death. It's fine. He got saved. I liked his reference to Uma Thurman, punching her way out
Kill
of it.
Bill out. Yeah. Since you were unsatisfied with this, I would ask you if you feel like they should have ended the series in a previous season.
I suppose the answer is yes. I liked the other seasons better, so I'll say, and they all had like an outcome where it was like, oh my God, terrible things are happening. Oh, we averted the terrible thing. But now we have something else happening. And you could end that way, right? Like, oh, we've ended, but now we have a new reality that we have to face and, allude to future adventures.
What was that quote you gave about the, it's sort of like, people want us to bring it back, we'll find a way.
Yeah, right. Okay. Good point. Hey, do you want a season 5? Well, those marigold flowers, that's your ticket. That's our way in.
I think people are harder on TV series than I tend to be in that, it's like they want a season, every episode to be perfect.
Right.
And like, there's no wasted episodes, no bad episodes, and the end, if it, for some people it can negate the whole series or whatever.
Right.
And so, with the nature of these TV shows where it's like, okay, you're lucky if you know how it's going to end in the next season rather than 5 seasons ahead.
So true, so true.
So it's like, oh, we got more episodes, and they weren't that great. Oh well, is how I feel about it, basically.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate conclusion to an otherwise quality show, and on balance, the Umbrella Academy I think maybe deserved a better series finale than it got. But such is the way, as you kind of pointed out with a lot of stories. It's tough to stick the landing, and that doesn't necessarily negate the rest of the storytelling that this thing did. And yeah, it had some very strong episodes, some strong characters, and yeah, it's a show that has value. It's just this ending, that's not the best. I'll mention one other thing that I was like, oh, I think you guys missed a chance for some drama or some conflict. They kind of made it easy to account for the kids in this situation, where it was like, oh my God, are the kids going to be okay? Even though we're going to be zapped from existence, they'll be fine. Yeah. Okay, well, that seems a little weird, frankly, first of all. How are you out of it? But they're fine. But also, isn't that a chance for some, maybe Diego and Lila have different viewpoints and, well, no, we ought to save the world. And maybe, no, what? Our kids? What are you talking about? I don't know. You could imagine maybe some more drama there of like, that's an extra decision. Can we make this big choice on behalf of our kids who will also cease to exist? I mean, that's a big deal. Anyway, there was some drama that I think maybe they chose to they were sprinting to the end. So they're like, okay, hey, they're fine. They're out of the picture. It's fine. Please don't look too hard at the kids, please. But anyway, so I think that sums it up. It didn't stick the landing, but this is a show that still, has a good place in the pantheon of cool quality superhero shows. Umbrella Academy, well played generally. Well, we will be back. Now, here's an interesting thing. Coming in about the middle of the month of September, 2 shows are going to drop basically day after each other, so essentially simultaneously. We do not have room in our schedules to cover both of these shows. So, it's the Penguin or Agatha All Along. And what we're going to do, Paul and I have decided we're going to base which show we cover on which first episode we like better. So we're going to watch both first episodes. Hey, if it's Penguin, great. If it's Agatha All Along, great. And in the meantime, if you guys want to try to influence our decision, feel free to put it in the comments here, which show you think we should cover. But at the moment, we're going to cover one of the 2. And it remains to be seen which one it will be. So, all right. Anyway, so come on back for that. Thank you as always, Paul. Appreciate it, good sir.
No problem.
And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.